Xbox One. So Dan, what you do with this Xbox One motherboard? You chucked on the table. What's the relevance of this? So I recently had an Xbox One. I say had because now it's in pieces. Half of it's in the bin somewhere, and the other half of it's still laying around my room for today's video. So I had an Xbox One with no power adapter, and I thought, well, it feels a shame just to bin it. So at least I know we can salvage the hard drive out of it. There's not much else you can do because Xbox decided not to use a normal power connector and I had to buy one. And I thought, the price of an Xbox One, that's half the price and it may or may not even work. So I thought, well, I'll just get the 500 gig 2.5 inch mechanical hard drive out and I'll do something with it. And we'll see if there's anything else in there worth salvaging. And my little weird mind found some other parts. If you've already seen the title of the video, you may have already guessed what they are. Oh, looked at the thumbnail. We have this. This is the heatsink off the Xbox One. You can see it's like, I think it's vapor chambers. I've got these copper pipes. We have this bit here, this nice little X bracket in these. And we also have this big, I think it's 140mm fan. And what can you do with that, Dan? Because I don't think that looks like a normal connector. And so the idea was, that'll make a drinks cooler, you know, using the heatsink technology that we have here and this fan combined. And would you let it be known that this piece, like, more or less perfectly holds a can. There's a little bit of play each way, but look, you know, unless you're going like to clobber it, you know, there's no real way that can fall over. It was like it was made for it. So the first thing we need to do is get power to this fan, and this fan as well. It's a little bit dusty. I haven't gone bothered to clean it. Yeah, I'm lazy. I know. So we have to figure out which pins are this, and luckily someone on Reddit put a list and I had a lucky guess and I figured it out. Black is the, if you've got one and it's like this pointy bit of plastic, the first one is where I'm sticking the black pin and the ground, whatever it's called, and the second one's where the red's going. We get real technical on this channel. I don't recommend trying this yourself unless you know what you're doing, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just an idiot on the internet. So unfortunately, these ends do not go into here. Now that is where these come in, because these go nicely in the end. I apologise for any like background noise. Like the car, it's probably just gone past. I may have picked up on the camera, because the reason we're doing this video is hot. I'm too hot at the moment. It's like 20 odd degrees here in England, and if you know anything about England's weather and the humidity, it's not nice. So those nicely fit in there, and these, I don't know what these cables are called. Ever used Raspberry Pi or like a breadboard, these are like those cables. I take it the gauge of the wires enough for realistically we're doing 5 volts and a few amps. But how are we going to get these onto these? Well, as I say, all things professional on this channel, we're going to try and cut the ends of these cables off, like. And there we are, that's that one end exposed. This job could be a lot easier if you have cable strippers or maybe a sharper knife or something, but yeah, I'm probably not doing the safest thing here running this on my finger, but these are fairly blunt scissors, to be fair. If I cut myself, maybe we'll get more views on the video. So the next thing is we're going to get these copper ends, just try and twist them out a bit, because the idea is we want to get these contact cables in here and make a nice connection. We're going to tidy this up in a minute. So yeah, that's in there. I'm going to bend that round. And there we are. One done. And that's the other one in. Right, they're both in. Let's give them some power and test them. I kind of made a bit of a mess of the red one. And there we are. And there we are. We have life on our fan. How cool is that? So that we know the fan works. We can put this on top. This is my idea, that the air will come from underneath. Not going to be the most effective thing in the world, but the idea is the air comes up, it cools this, and hopefully these copper heat pipes cool into here. There is one problem, and I'm going to acknowledge it now, that in a can, this bit is more, you know, it's raised, so it doesn't make full contact, but I'm hoping that these edges are enough to make contact, because at the end I want to go and make a whole custom project here. This is just a bit of fun. So now we have our fan. There's not a lot of air coming through, and there's a little bit of a thing here, so if we put this bit of square of toilet roll on top, you can see there's not a lot of air, but if we lift the fan up slightly, more air can now get underneath and get through the fan. So we need to raise this a little bit. And since I don't own a 3D printer, my solution to this was 8 2x4 Lego bricks, and we're going to use these as stands. It takes a little bit of time to get these placed just right. But I'm going for the little plastic feet on the bottom of the fan. I'm going for it like that. Maybe not the best to be holding the fan while it's on. You only live once, right? That's them two, right? So now you can see, if I bring this back, we have a lot more airflow coming through. Don't worry, just sat on the table. Yeah, it's getting a bit tall now, but so for science. And that just sits on top. It's a bit big, I know. I think next we're going to neaten these cables up so they don't come undone. So to neaten these cables up, I have a bag of heat shrink stuff here. I'm just going to unplug the little pins from the fan and we're going to feed that into there. So now we have our heat shrink on. We're just going to burnt my finger there. We're just going to melt this down. I'll probably cut to when we've done this completely. Oop, maybe I spoke too soon there. So we tried doing heat shrink off camera, finishing it off, and I just couldn't get the heat shrink small enough for these cables. I think maybe I've got the wrong stuff here. I was just trying to secure these connections, but maybe I need to learn how to use heat shrink, or maybe I bought the wrong stuff, because it definitely shrinks, you know, that's like a big tube and it shrunk to that smaller end. It all seems to shrink down to the same size. So I'm not really sure what I'm doing wrong with heat shrink, but like I say, I'm no electrician. All I ended up kind of doing was melting the cables, burning my finger, and nearly burning my home down. So apart from nearly needing to call the fire brigade, we have our thing still working, and I think it's time to actually try it and see if this thing can actually keep our drinks cold or at a temperature. So first of all, I thought I would start with a cold can of Pepsi Max. So what we're going to do is going to open the can up, pop it on the cooler, and here I have maybe not the optimal thermometer for liquids. It's like a meat thermometer, but it's digital, so it'll give us an exact reading. Currently the air, apparently, if you can make that out, is at 24 degrees. And if we stick it in the can right to the bottom, it's saying it's about 8.5. Can that camera pick that up while it's still on? Yeah, it's about 8.2, 8.5 range. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to leave that in there for about half an hour or so, come back, and we'll see if the temperature has changed, gone up, gone down, and if this thing actually works. So it's been about half an hour. Let's see if the temperature is currently. So it's currently about 20-ish degrees in this room according to this thing, which I tend to believe it's a warm day, and I haven't had anything else on to affect the temperature. The window's been open the entire time we've been recording this video. I haven't had a fan on or anything, just this, and like I said, this came out the fridge about 5 or 10 minutes before we opened it and put it on the video, and it's been about half an hour since. It was about 8.2, 8.5 before. Let's pop it in and get a reading, and it's probably enough time in there. So we're looking at about, let's pop the light on. Oh, let's see that video, just jumped up a little bit then. About 16.9 degrees in there. It's gone up. Well, about 8 degrees. It's doubled in temperature, but like I say, it did come from the fridge, and we have put it in the open. And yeah, it's still pretty cold. Definitely cold to the touch on the outside. This doesn't really do metal. I maybe messed up when I bought this. This doesn't really seem to do metal too well. So the next experiment I want to try is we have a different can. You can tell it's a different can, slightly different design, same drink. This is a one that's just been sitting at room temperature. We're going to open it up and stick it inside and see what temperature this one's currently at. This one is saying, if we can get it out, it's about 23 degrees. So we're going to leave this one about half an hour and see if there is a change in temperature. Hopefully this one goes lower than this one, and maybe we find the ambient point is about 16, 17 degrees with it on here. I'll see you in half an hour. So it's been about half an hour or so now. I'll watch the temperature and see what it's like. One weird thing is, it's all like kind of like, I guess maybe there's a slight bit of shaking, and it's like, you know how Coke does, it's like bubbly, like, yeah, like powerful glass Coke, it's like jumping out at you. It looks like it's kind of done that on here. Let's turn on the temperature gauge and stick it in. I'm kind of nervous. The can feels a little bit colder on the outside. Let's go in and see. And it's not looking great. and it looks like it's about the same as when it went in. It's just slightly under 23. It's looking like it's about 22.9. Yeah, this has been a weird experience. So what have we learnt today? We've learnt that if you really want to cool something properly or keep it cold, you're going to need something to cool it with. An old Xbox One fan and a heatsink isn't necessarily good enough. The fan may keep you a bit cool in summer by blowing air around you. It all feels a bit cold, but maybe it's warm air. It's just coming up. It's not really having any effect on the can whatsoever. Or maybe it's the lack of contact points, because this feels cold, but this doesn't really like measure metal. Yeah, it feels cold. Like, it definitely feels cooler. So we've learnt that the Xbox One wasn't really the greatest console ever, and we found that parts of it can't really be used to make a good drinks cooler. So maybe I need to find a way to get some sort of cooling in here, maybe some ice, and maybe it would work out, maybe a version 2. Let me know what you guys think below. I'll like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.